High Admiral Zixithara studied the tactical display with the cold calculation that had earned her command of the hegemony's finest war fleet. The blue-green world rotating slowly before them looked deceptively peaceful, its primitive radio signals chattering with the mundane concerns of an unsuspecting species. Initial scans confirmed the intelligence reports, reported her tactical officer, mandibles clicking with satisfaction. No orbital defenses, no energy shields. Their most advanced weapons appear to be chemical explosives and kinetic projectiles. This world will fall within a single rotation. Zixithara's four eyes narrowed as she observed the planet's surface. The Terran hegemony database classified this species, humans they called themselves, as barely past their nuclear age, perfect for the hegemony's expansion needs, advanced enough to have developed basic infrastructure, primitive enough to offer no meaningful resistance. "Deploy the standard Conquest protocol," she commanded. "Orbital bombardment of major population centers, followed by ground forces to secure strategic resources. The Hegemony Council expects this sector pacified within one standard cycle." The invasion fleet descended like a metallic storm, their ships' hulls gleaming with the confidence of 1,000 successful conquests. Zixithara had personally overseen the subjugation of 17 worlds. This would be her 18th and easiest. The first wave of bombardment struck the humans' major cities with surgical precision. Tokyo, New York, London, Beijing, all crumbled under the hegemony's plasma artillery. The electromagnetic pulse that followed should have crippled any remaining technology. But something unexpected happened. Instead of the usual panic and surrender that marked a successful first strike, the humans did something no other species had ever attempted. They began to sing. It started in the ruins of Sydney, where a group of survivors huddled in a collapsed subway station. One voice, cracked and hoarse, began an old melody. Others joined in, their voices harmonizing despite their terror. The song spread through the underground tunnels, carried by radio waves that somehow penetrated the hegemony's jamming frequencies. "What is this phenomenon?" Zixithara demanded as her communications officer reported the strange audio signatures emanating from the planet's surface. "It appears to be organized vocalization, High Admiral, but the patterns are unlike any distress signal in our databases." From London's rubble, another song emerged. Different melody, different language, but the same defiant resonance. Then another from the remains of Rio de Janeiro, Moscow, Lagos, Cairo. Each city that still had survivors added their voice to a growing chorus that seemed to pulse with an energy the hegemony's sensors couldn't classify. "Perhaps it's some form of prayer to their deities," suggested the tactical officer. "Many primitive species resort to superstition when faced with superior force." But Zixithara felt an unfamiliar sensation creeping through her consciousness, something she would later identify as unease. In all her campaigns, conquered species either fought with weapons or surrendered in despair. They didn't sing. The second phase of invasion proceeded as planned. Dropships deployed ground forces to secure mining operations and processing facilities. But the humans' behavior grew even more bizarre. Instead of fleeing or hiding, they gathered in groups, in parks, in schools, in the shells of destroyed buildings, and continued their strange vocal coordination. A report came from Battalion Commander Klextho on the ground. "High Admiral, the natives are not responding to intimidation protocols. When we approach with weapons drawn, they invite us to listen to their music." "Explain." "They show no fear, High Admiral. A female approached my squad leader and attempted to teach him their vocalizations. She smiled while doing so. My troops are confused." Confused. Zixithara had never heard that word in a military context. Her forces had conquered through fear, overwhelming technological superiority, and the universal instinct for survival. But humans seemed to operate outside these parameters. The songs grew stronger. What had started as scattered melodies began to weave together into something unprecedented, a planetary chorus that transcended language barriers. Human voices merged across continents, creating harmonies that seemed to resonate through the very atmosphere. And then Zixthara's tactical display began showing impossible readings. "Hi, Admiral." Her sensor operator's voice carried a tremor of uncertainty. "The planet's electromagnetic field is changing. Elaborate. The vocal frequencies are creating some form of resonance cascade. It's as if the entire planet is becoming a musical instrument." The humans had weaponized something the hegemony had never encountered in 1,000 conquered worlds: unity through art. Their songs carried more than melody. They carried memory, hope, defiance, and an unbreakable sense of shared humanity. Every voice that joined the chorus strengthened not just the volume, but the resolve of every other singer. Zixthara watched in growing alarm as her ground forces began reporting equipment malfunctions. Not from any technological interference, but from something far more insidious: doubt. Soldiers trained from birth to follow orders without question were hesitating. Some removed their helmets to hear the human songs more clearly. Others sat, down their weapons. "They're making our troops question the mission," came another report. "The humans keep asking why we've come to hurt them when we could make music together instead." The breaking point came when the songs reached the hegemony ships themselves. Human voices, amplified by their planet's resonance, carried through space in ways that defied conventional physics. The melody found its way through the fleet's hull, plating through air recyclers, through the quantum field generators that powered their weapons. For the first time in her military career, Zixthara heard her own crew humming. The humans had deployed a weapon no military doctrine had prepared for: the infectious nature of art, the universal language of music, and the simple radical act of inviting their enemies to join in creation rather than destruction. As the human chorus swelled to encompass their entire world, Zixthara faced an unprecedented situation. She could obliterate the planet from orbit, but her crew was already humming their songs. She could retreat, but the Hegemony Council would demand explanations she couldn't provide. Or she could do what no Hegemony admiral had ever done before. Zixthara activated her fleet's communications array and, for the first time in her career, requested negotiations. The humans answered with a song of welcome.